years. Not all contiguous. I spent some time away from the company, about a year and a half, leading sales for a smaller software company. Still tied into the energy sector, but that was very short-lived because of the extensive travel. And so with a young child and family and all that type of stuff, very short-lived, and decided to come back to DTE. So in total, yeah, almost 13 years and absolutely loving it. I do reside in the city of Ann Arbor. I do consider Ann Arbor to be a great place to raise a family and so on and so forth. And yeah, the University of Michigan is also a big part of just my background. Thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to chat with everyone today. Murray reached out and asked if we're interested in having a dialogue around DTE's Migraine Power. So I guess before I dig in into the presentation and such, I would love to just get a feel from the group here, just your knowledge, awareness around DTE programming and things that may be of interest, or where is sort of the knowledge level from the group, if you all don't mind me asking. And I know Jan well, so I think Jan is familiar, but there may be.
Well, I can go. I mean, DTE seems to be really customer focused. I mean, they send out a lot of communications via email. I participated in some group discussions with DTE, and I know that they're from their advertising, like on TV, that they're very focused on green energy, and as we all should be.
I completely agree. Thank you for that. Anyone else?
Harvey.
Hey, Harvey.
There we go. So all I'm familiar with is, is from a residential point of view, I'm aware of the program where you can pay a little extra to get power that's either from solar or from solar and wind. I believe those are the combinations, something like that. And we looked into that a little bit. My wife's an economist, and so the question of additionality was forefront. Is this actually additional energy, or is this energy which would have been used anyway in this way? And we concluded that it was worth it. And so we're participating at a residential level, but as a representative of Beth Israel, I'm interested in what the options might be on a commercial level.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Sure.
And Scott?
Yeah, good to meet you. So just real briefly, I'm in part representing a local church, the Ann Arbor Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we initiated an interconnection agreement with DTE Energy. We've completed 2 production years with a solar array up on a roof, much like what Murray has done, and probably several others on this call. So that's, and we've been receiving the, the 4-color magazines that have actually quite some very useful information in it about, the initiatives that DTE Energy is engaging in. So that's my brief statement to you. Knox, Cameron.
All right. I also wanted to add that, like Harvey, I just enrolled my home in Michigan, Migraine Power, and I really recommend everybody do it. It's not that much more money.
And it sends a message, even if your personal contribution isn't that great. As an example.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I think that's really good context, and I think we have each other here for the remaining 20 minutes, so I will do my best But yeah, I will certainly provide everyone an overview of the Migraine Power program. But I think even before that, I think it's worth understanding DTE's vision and journey here. So current state, DTE, 60% of how we produce power for our customers today comes from coal. Okay, and quite frankly, that is just bad. And we recognize that's bad, and we are doing something about it. Okay, and so our vision for the future is we have aspirations to be net zero of carbon emissions by 2050. And there's even an intermediary goal prior to that of being 80% reduced of those emissions by 2040. So coal production over the next decade or so will continue to come down because we need to get down from that 60%. It's just quite frankly not great. And with that, if you are going to be reducing coal production, naturally you have to be ramping up some other form of electricity generation. Okay, and that is ultimately where renewables comes into play. And that is ultimately why I'm responsible for DTE's programming, which is Migraine Power. That is the voluntary renewable energy program that some of the team members here on the call are discussing. So that is a unique mechanism in which we can all fundamentally transform how power is produced. Okay, because if we're using coal as a means to produce electricity today, and if it's bad for the environment and we need to reduce it, ramping up electricity production through wind and solar is a great means to be able to do that. Okay, today, DTE produces 15% of its power from renewables. So there's 60% from coal. And right now we had to meet mandates to be 15% of our generation coming from renewables. So you all, as both residents in DTE service territory and oversight of nonprofits or other organizations, are all credited your own unique 15% to be renewables. Okay, so that is just a mandate that DTE had to execute on, and we are doing that. The Migraine Power program that we're addressing here is for anyone who wants to go above and beyond that 15%. Okay, and you can actually adopt the program all the way up to 85%. And so percent, what is the percent of? Well, ultimately it's a percent of the overall usage on an annual basis. Okay, so if you look across your home, you use round numbers 100, 15% of that 100 is renewable today. And if you wanted to be further renewable, you could adopt into this particular program to be able to help to support that. Okay, some of the team members have called out, there is an incremental cost to doing that. One, it's voluntary, right? So you would have to choose to want to adopt more renewables. But absent of your decision to choose, you would not be paying more. Okay, and obviously you would not be receiving renewables from the purchase as well. So allow me to, with that, I don't know if I have ability to share, but I would welcome someone handing over the reins to me, perhaps for me to be able to share, because I do have a few slides that I would love to just run the team through.
All right,
Oh.
Jan will get you on.
Okay, I think we are there. Let me know if you all can see this. Excellent. I love thumbs up. That's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to talk about Migraine Power for a bit. And once again, it's voluntary. So the first bullet is key. So the program is available to all of DTE's customers. Okay, that is key when we're looking at building program designs. It's making it available to all of our customers, and that is the case with a program like this. Okay, the program is available to all of DTE's customers, residents, small businesses, large businesses. It doesn't matter. If you're a DTE customer, you can enroll in a program like this. Okay, and the idea is to invest in a program so that that can help DTE construct more renewable energy projects, which are both wind and solar in nature, okay? And interestingly enough, how the program is deployed is that you subscribe. So think about how television is deployed today, or perhaps how even music or other forms of subscription models. It is on a monthly basis. And so you're not locked in and fixed, right? You can adopt in a flexible way buying renewables. So let's talk flexibility, okay? So the first piece is when we talk about your usage within your home or within the respective businesses, and we talk about that overall usage, you actually can purchase in small percentages in upwards of 5% each time. Okay, so your starting point is that 15% that we talked about that DTE serves you. And then you can actually grow above and beyond in 5% increments of your overall annual usage. Okay, so in a very flexible way, you can continue to stage adoptions. The second bullet there for our larger customers, you know, the Ford Motor Companies, the University of Michigan, the General Motors, et cetera. For those bigger customers, we do require a contract. Okay, but we do offer variety in terms of how that works. Some of the interesting notes here in you know, the difference between a program like this and one where you will see solar constructed on your own roofs, for instance. So I think the big difference here between this particular program design and one where you would do your own construction of solar on your roof is that DTE is doing all of this constructing, okay? And we're doing it at large scales, anywhere to the tune of 100 to 200 megawatts, so fairly large. So instead of any one single customer retrofitting their home or their business with solar on the roof, you simply just subscribe, okay? And then DTE is the one doing all of this building, okay? We find it to be a more efficient way of putting renewables onto the grid and ultimately impacting the environment. I heard the concept of additionality. Additionality is key. And so for everyone's knowledge and awareness, additionality is the concept of putting brand new renewable energy supply onto the grid with one's purchase, okay? And that is precisely what we're doing here, okay? These projects are staged and are to be built projects. These are not projects that customers are buying into that are already constructed, okay? So as customers invest more, as they want to subscribe in more renewable energy, DTE is on the hook to having to go construct these types of things, okay? The other really neat concept of the program, and we'll jump into some of the other slides because it's key. But the strategy here is that these projects are only built in the state of Michigan, okay? So along with the environmental consideration of additionality, and it's likely on the other slide here, there's another key environmental lever called locality. The mere fact that all of our use and energy use is causing carbon emissions in our local area, we need to be investing in renewables that is very near to where those emissions are being caused. Okay, and so it gives me great pride to know that the company's strategy is to build large-scale projects that will be infusing the electric grid with renewables, okay? And it's all done in the state of Michigan, which we're very, very proud of. And so when you construct large projects in the state of Michigan, there are tangible benefits, whether it's for the landowners themselves, whether it's for those local communities as jobs continue to grow and business development opportunities continue to grow. That is a big part of the value proposition with DTE being focused on building solely in Michigan. Yeah, I love it. So here are some of the program impacts, right? The first bullet is key because it's key. This is what we're here to do. We are here to make a positive impact on the environment. Okay, and so that is one of the number one program impacts I would call out. is the fact that it's new renewable energy supply that any customer would be investing in, right? So when you want to feel like you're making an impact, you can certainly trust that that is what your investment is doing. And we're proud of that. I called out locality in the second bullet, which I think is key. And then third, right, as folks start to look at investing in renewables, because I do consider it an investment, but yeah, there is an incremental cost there. The mere fact that you can adopt in flexible ways is key. We also see that the price of wind and solar continue to go down. What we're forecasting over the next few years is that there will be a negligible cost, if not neutral, to what renewables could be to come, just based on the market dynamics. So really positives for folks who are interested in renewables. We see that price continue to go down. And so as those prices go down or cost goes down, those are benefits that get passed on to the customer. The last one is key. So why would someone buy renewable energy, right? Or how would you demonstrate or the value in terms of what you're doing and buying? The tangible currency here is called a REC, okay, a renewable energy certificate. And a REC is produced for every 1 megawatt hour of electricity, renewable energy electricity that is produced, okay? So as customers invest in renewables and the renewables is generated, it is tracked and managed and retired is the concept on behalf of that said customer. So no one else besides said customer can make that environmental claim that they have invested in the renewables. And so this is the tangible currency for all of the large industrial customers or commercial customers who have carbon emissions goals and targets. They actually need that tangible currency called a REC to be able to demonstrate that they have purchased renewable energy, okay? And so that is a key thing. That is a tangible output for all of our customers. Just some quick program highlights. The program is doing very, very well. Okay, we've recently crossed the 50,000 residential customer mark. So 50,000 residents across the state of Michigan is adopting renewables through this particular program, which is really, really cool. We have over 500 small business customers who have enrolled in the program to date as well. And then from a large business or industrial customer space, we have, I think, 37 now who are enrolled in the program. So pretty sizable participation. I think this demonstrates clearly the need for renewables and DTE's ability to offer that to our respective customers. Just a quick snapshot, and this is my last slide before we jump into questions, but just gives you a snapshot of who we're working with today. You can see some of the brands there. They should be not foreign to you, but these are some of the largest brands across Southeast Michigan and, quite frankly, the country, who view DTE's renewable energy offering as the solution set for them. You know, I'll call out a few tangible examples here, but Ford Motor Company, they have also taken up the charge of adopting renewables and wanting to do better for the environment. They've put out a claim of being net zero of carbon emissions by 2035. In order to do so, adopting renewables is key, and they are deciding to do that with DTE, which we're very proud of. General Motors, the same, and a host of others. Obviously, the University of Michigan is captured there. We're proud to be doing business with them. And one of the more interesting ones as well is actually the state, okay? So the state of Michigan, for all of its properties, is also using the Migraine Power program as a mechanism to be able to adopt renewable energy. So that is my just brief sort of overview. I will pause there and see if there are any questions or comments on what I've shared.
All right, thanks, Knox, for that. Great presentation.
I have a question, Murray.
Sure, go ahead, Dave.
Dave, Knox, I don't know the science of this, but I'm recalling that there is transmission loss for energy from the source to the user. And it seems to me like it would be, if our main goal is to decrease the amount of carbon, to have the solar panels or the wind power at the site using the energy, it would be more efficient overall. Is that correct?
I think I wouldn't say wholeheartedly that is correct. I will say in part it is correct. In part in that, yeah, I think a more direct connection, you're always going to have greater efficiencies on a one-off direct connection. I think the utility stance is really about overall impact and volume of that impact. And so in order to make a tangible impact on the environment, does it make sense to have one-off individualized roofs constructed for each of everyone in a particular community, or to have a single site that can power hundreds of thousands of homes throughout a given year? And so that is the viewpoint. Ultimately, it's less about that direct efficiency and more about the overall impact, because if we are going to build 200 megawatts of wind and solar and put that onto the grid, though you may have a negligible loss in terms of line losses or whatnot, you are still roughly putting 200 megawatts of solar and wind onto the grid. And I think that's just hard to undo.
All right. So my question is, in the media and on the internet, I've seen that they're to enhance the amount of renewable energy in the Ann Arbor area, generating the Ann Arbor area. The DTE is building a solar farm near Milan. Is that correct? And when's that going to be accomplished?
Great question. So there are a couple things in place, particularly with the city of Ann Arbor. We have recently contracted with the city of Ann Arbor for Wheeler Park. So we'll be putting I believe almost a 30 megawatt style solar array closer to Wheeler Park. That is usually of the smaller variety to what DTE typically does on a larger scale. The issue with whenever you get into a smaller sized array versus a larger sized array are ultimately economies of scale and cost decreases. So the city of Ann Arbor is paying quite a premium for that sized array. But then to what you're speaking about, Murray, to support the broader Migraine Power program, we are looking at 150 megawatt-ish array close to the Milan area. That project has been identified and we've been working through the process there. But we do anticipate that to come online hopefully within the next year and a half, ideally. Okay, but yeah, that would be as local as I would say any major project would get for DTE, just given the available land closer to Southeast Michigan versus in the northern part of Michigan, which is where we're typically constructing today.
All right, and then another question. I'll let Ed go. Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, Knox, we have about almost 20,000 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof, and we're looking at putting in about another 100, 120. But I recently noticed in the billing, okay, we pay about 8.5 cents generation power and 3.5 cents distribution power. And every once in a while, the present array we have up there would generate electricity and go back into the grid, for which we were credited 13 cents a kilowatt hour, what we usually pay. But now they are only crediting us with the generation power. And I can see from one point of view, it's useless to us, therefore we're charging you to we got to still distribute it, but whoever they distribute it to will also be paying that distribution charge. So it seems to be an disincentive. I know you don't want to have a whole lot of little distribution because that's inefficient, but just on the margins, it seems to be a disincentive to be pushing renewable energy.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, Ed. Yeah, I think as compared to the past, right? I think, yeah, the distributed generation tariff has been much more fruitful for purchasers of localized renewables. And we have a dedicated team working through that entire process, you know, and I'm not as close to the localized solar world as I am more on the utility scale solar world. But yeah, I think as compared to the past, Ed, I think your point is well taken.
Okay, and a follow-up question, since you are dealing a lot with the residential here, especially with the Migraine Power, we built a house about 10 years ago. We got geothermal, fine. However, to do all this, we needed, DTE had to put in a new, what do you call the cans up on the poles?
Transformer?
Transformer, yeah, sorry. And since I don't think DTE was geared up for this, the house sat empty for about 3 months while they figured out how to put a transformer in. And we're not talking rural area, we're talking downtown Carytown, Ann Arbor. So this is just a suggestion. I hope that they have some group there that are more on top of these problems, because if people start doing localized geothermal, you're gonna have the same problem. And I hope that something's been done in the last 10, 11 years to address that.
Well, Ed, I will say, and your points are well taken, and thank you for those. I will just venture to say more broadly, DTE has a lot of work to do across Washtenaw County. We recognize that, and quite frankly, me as a representative of the company, but also a proud resident of the city of Ann Arbor and Washtenaw, I want those connections to be built as well, right? We have failed in a lot of areas across Washtenaw, and we recognize that, and we've actually begun to build task forces across various key business units, whether it's across our distribution operation world, to ensure that reliability and power outages are addressed across the county. Those are things that we're implementing. We have not had the best relationships across clean energy and those types of discussions. And so that's a big part of the work that I'm passionate about, because yeah, I do believe in the company's vision, but I'm also, like I said, a proud resident of the area as well. And so I hear and understand many of the considerations, and that's a big part of why I'm passionate about the work that I'm doing, because I want to ensure that the company is received well across Washtenaw, and vice versa as well. We're thought highly of as a company, and the only way you do that is to produce effectively for people.
So that's your commitment to fix everything, right? Thank you.
I am committing to trying. Yes, sir.
All right, and then Knox, maybe a really simple question is, how do we enroll? How does our house of worship or a nonprofit enroll in this program?
That's an excellent question, Murray. And you know, I have a team of folks that could help to facilitate that. I think it's really a direct communication to myself. We would need to understand the sites, the facilities, etc. And we can model the pricing of what that would look like for you all, right? That is easy. We can model it at various enrollment levels. As we talked about, there's flexibility in terms of how you can adopt this program. You don't have to do it in full go. And we have team members that would be able to educate you all on that and facilitate the enrollment. What I will say, in additional to an enrollment into a program like this, is we want to be able to tell your story. Okay. And so to the extent that we can work with our corporate communications folks about the investment that you all are making in renewables and the impact that you're making, that is also part of what we offer to anyone who enrolls in this program, right? Because we are passionate about impacting the environment and we want people to know about it. We didn't get to 50,000 enrolled customers without other people being galvanized and excited about the work that is to come. So we would facilitate the enrollment, but equally as important, we would facilitate communicating your investment.
When you say we, is there an address or an email address or something?
Yeah, when I say we, like, for me, I can bring all 15 team members that report to me on the call. That would be the we. But I've decided to field the call here just, personally, because the rest of the team has a lot going on. But when I say we, I have folks in the marketing realm that support the program. I have folks in the IT realm that support the program. We have our corporate communications partners who support the program. And so by we, it's all of the business functions that support the work around this particular program.
No, not so I meant the other way. If I wanted to pick up the phone and call somebody at DTE, who is the we on,
Oh, yeah. So,
numbers,
so phone and email is in the chat for me.
Okay.
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 So that is the we. It
Okay,
is my information. But yeah, what that would do ultimately, Ed, is just allow me to facilitate getting work done, right?
Okay.
I would venture to say I wouldn't be digging in explicitly myself, but I would be forwarding on the inquiries to the team members who would drive on the respective requests.
Okay, thank you. That was the question.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I was a little confused.
No worries. Other questions or comments? And Jan, thank you for calling out that landfill project, by the way, appreciate it.
Raise my hand virtually.
Yes, Anne Marie.
Yes, I have a question. I just want to be sure I understand this. So if I subscribe as an individual or if my church subscribes, we can be guaranteed that at whatever level we subscribe, that we would be getting that much power in the form of renewable energy. That's part A, is that correct?
So what this program is designed to do is for you to pay a subscription fee above and beyond what you pay for normal power today. And that bit of payment goes towards the construction of new renewable energy projects that ultimately feed the electric grid. So your respective home itself, right? Because power in general is indistinguishable. It flows through the lines. And what we're trying to do here is to have power that is produced by coal be less infusing of our electric grid, and we start to build more projects that is infusing power that is coming from renewable energy generation.
And building that doesn't mean you're going to come in and put solar panels here or at the church, because more people would be benefited if you would take all the collective money and build a huge, okay, I got it.
Thank you very much. That is awesome. And we let me see, at some point throughout this engagement, I will find our latest press release just demonstrating across the state of Michigan where the number of participants are coming from respective areas. And I think the second largest bit of participants actually come from Washtenaw County. Oakland County is leading the charge today, followed by Washtenaw County. We've been very, very successful and engaged. We have an engaged group of Washtenaw County participants. And like I said, it's the second largest segment of our population that is being represented there, which is really cool. But you hit it spot on there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Harvey?
Yeah, I wanted to understand a little bit more about how these RECs work. That's Renewable Energy Certificate, is that what?
Yes.
Okay, so how does it work that say Ford gets a wreck, and then what does it do with it? Does that kind of enable Ford to claim carbon neutrality at a certain point? I see. So that's like
That is the currency, right? Like, how did you do it, Ford Motor Company? You said you wanted to be carbon neutral. Well, what mechanisms did you use in order to do that? Well, you're producing all of this power that is really bad, and you use it from an organization that produces this power. 60% of it is coming from coal. Well, how did you do that, Ford Motor Company? Well, we did this by contributing X number of dollars, and we bought into that project that is over there. We are investing X number of dollars, and we get our pro rata share from the generation of those projects. So ultimately, Ford would say, hey, we bought our 100 and DTE produced our 100, and here is the currency that says we did that. Okay. And so we owe those large businesses what is considered a letter of attestation, highlighting all of the recs that were generated on their behalf.
I see. And so tell me again what one rec is worth. How does that, what is it?
Yeah.
Power
So,
terms or whatever.
no, great question, because it's it gets technical at times. But it is 1 megawatt hour of power production, or 1,000 kilowatt hours. Okay. And so to give you all a sense of connection to, let's say, a residential user on average for the year uses about 650 kilowatt hours a year.
Okay, so a rec is the megawatt hour per year.
Correct. And
Right.
so it is 1,000 kilowatt hours or 1 megawatt hour, right? You're just multiplying by the 1,000 there. So even within a year, on average, a residential user would not even generate 1 rec.
Right. And it probably doesn't make any sense for a house of worship or a small nonprofit to be in this, I don't know, market. Is it a market? Can you buy it?
Yeah, I mean, you're investing in renewables, and we would generate the rec and retire it on your behalf, and those are your environmental claims you're making, as everyone else is. Just because, Ford Motor Company generates, I don't know, 800,000 recs a year, right? Like something massive. So does the house of worship. So does someone's personal home. You just get there in a much smaller fashion, but the idea is your contribution is impactful the same.
I see. So do we get recs? Do I get a rec on my?
Yeah. Once your home does that, yes. I think the mechanism today, because the program is so young, we've only been at it for 2.5 years. In total, other programs are out there around the country that have been around for 10 plus years. We actually have one of the largest renewable energy programs in the country. Okay, and we've only been at it for 2.5 years, and that is because of the interest in renewables. That is because of the simplicity of a program like this. It's like, oh, I buy power from you all already. Oh, and I can just add a line item on my bill to purchase more renewables, and you all will build it when the need happens. That seems interesting. And so subscribers have taken to that bit of knowledge and thought process and have enrolled.
So will I see it on my bill?
Yeah, so I think that's the next piece. Oh yeah, the purchase will be on your bill, no doubt about it. I think the next solution set that we need to develop is to have those letters of attestation to all of our customers. Right now, the folks who it's more meaningful to are the large industrials who have corporate sustainability goals, who have shareholders that they actually need to speak to, and so on and so forth. And so that's why that letter of attestation is more meaningful to those folks right now, because there's real money tied to it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I see Jan has her hand up.
I think Sandy was before me.
All right, Go ahead, Sandy.
Sure. I'm just curious what the various roadblocks are to getting to all renewable and why it takes 28 years. And if we all start buying into it, will it go faster? Or are there other reasons?
Sandy, that is literally one of the best questions. Okay. And I so appreciate that. Let's unpack it. So I call this the triangle that DTE cannot violate. Okay. And let's talk about it. So the 3 prongs for us is safety. We deal with a very, very dangerous product in electricity. So safety is our core priority. You also have reliability. Okay, ensuring that the power itself is always on for someone, that is key. And then last but certainly not least is the concept of just being cost effective. Okay, so renewable energy is variable in nature, meaning the sun does not shine 24/7. Okay, and the wind does not blow 24/7. That's just fact. However, investing in coal, you can burn coal all day, every day. It's pretty cheap. And that is why it has been the prevailing resource and technology for however long. Okay, but however, we're finding out today that that has material negative impacts to the environment. So the reason we can't just go and accelerate this thing is because there are alternate technologies that need to be paired with renewables in order to ensure that reliability is spot on. Okay, because when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing, we still need to produce power. So ensuring that we always have a base level of support to never violate the reliability piece of the triangle is one core piece of it. The other piece is that this is a voluntary program. There's a cost to renewables today for anyone who wants to buy. Because this is voluntary, you all who are interested in renewables would be purchasing. Those costs would not go on to the general rate payer. Absent of a program like this, where interested parties want to purchase, if the utility were going to be retrofitting its entire generation fleet, it would rely on all of its ratepayers. Okay, so this to us is an incredible program design because only the folks who are interested are purchasing. And so that offsets the cost that would go on to the traditional ratepayer. And so staging this in a very thoughtful way, given the limitations around technology, as they get paired with renewables is part of the reason why we're not just there tomorrow. It takes a little bit of time. And so, yeah, we would love for renewables to be abundant and perfect and 24/7, but battery is another technology that needs to grow. Because what can happen is during the peak times of production for, let's say, solar, you can harness as much of that and then store that within the battery and then deploy it once your generation is at its less of a peak, so to speak. So there are dynamics that need to still evolve in the innovation of how power is produced, consumed, and stored in order for us to feel comfortable that we can deliver it 24/7, 365, as how we traditionally do it today through coal production.
All right, Jen?
I just wanted to take a brief minute to kind of put this in perspective, because I think if you look at what's happening right now, for instance, with the energy codes, there is an appendix in the current energy code that's being updated with the state of Michigan that has that different authorities having jurisdiction could require, basically it's the zero code. So any new building or major renovation that is done in their jurisdiction, they would have to bring with it 100% renewables for all of their energy use. So if you think about, a very tall building downtown or other buildings who are shaded and so forth like that, not everyone can provide 100% of their own renewables on site. We have to get to a point where, one, we're electrified and we're running on renewables. And so what's important is we need all new buildings and as many existing buildings to go on renewables as soon as possible. Ann Arbor says 2030. DTE is at 2050. And if you look at, the new IPCC assessment report, we have at the most to 2040. Okay, so this puts together a way that you can do 100% of your electricity now, and you can then, as you're doing your electrification, add that. So it gives everyone access to the renewables, although it does cost more, and some of that we have to deal with, how to make it affordable for everyone. But as more and more people subscribe, that it will become more affordable for everyone. So I'm a strong proponent of this, and what I like about it is additional. It is in Michigan. You can purchase from like Arcadia's, and you go online, arcadia.com. You can purchase renewable energy certificates from Arcadia, but they're elsewhere. This brings it home to Michigan. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give that perspective.
All right, and then we're going to have to cut it off here, but one last question from Ed.
No, that's okay. It's
Okay.
theoretical question.
So I'd like to thank Knox, and everybody can thank him by going like this. All right. Thank Knox, and hopefully a lot of us will be in touch to enroll in this.
Thank you all once again. I appreciate it. I would encourage you to just go on your local social media or just any media site, read the latest just releases around our 50,000 enrollment mark. We're very proud of that. I would encourage you all to also just ingest the graphic that's a part of that to really see how many folks across the state of Michigan are really looking at renewables and particularly exploring renewables through DTE. So thank you all for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. I hope to hear from all of you, and certainly in any capacity, if there's any way I can help, please let me know. And thank you again for the opportunity.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So we did have planned today other things, but one of the things I want to get to is have Jan just say a few things about energy benchmarking.
Yeah, sure. I think it was November, Ann Arbor passed its benchmark commercial and multifamily benchmarking ordinance, and that requires all commercial and multifamily buildings to benchmark. And there are some exemptions. And if you are a church who does not lease any of your facility, you could be exempt. However, I think it'd be great if churches did voluntarily benchmark. And obviously through the 2030 district, we benchmark all the time, and that most of these churches many of the churches are a part of the 2030 district, and we're helping you a benchmark. So the benchmarking ordinance, just so people know, is if you have a parcel, that means a parcel of property that has over 100,000 square feet, you're required to benchmark by June 1st of this year. If it's over 50,000 square feet on a parcel, you're required to benchmark by June 1st of next year. And then it goes down to over 20,000 square foot on a parcel. So that really probably takes in most of the churches, the larger churches in the city of Ann Arbor. And as I said, churches can be exempt if they are not leasing any of their facility, because they are technically kind of owner occupied. And this is anyway, but we would encourage you to benchmark because it gives you good information. The next step after benchmarking is probably doing an energy audit. We still have funding for free, up to $2,500. That is about 18,000 square feet of an energy audit, and it's about 12 cents a square foot beyond that. I have people now that have done their energy audit are starting to do their energy conservation measures. It really makes sense to work on your envelope, work on your lights, work on your HVAC systems, and we're glad to help you do that. The 2030 district also now has an engineer that is helping some folks kind of fine tune up whatever their HVAC equipment. So that's kind of in a nutshell, benchmark, audit, start making your updates. Yes.
All right.
2 quick questions. One, is this only for facilities within the city of Ann Arbor?
Yes,
Okay.
it is a city ordinance. Yep.
And the energy audit grants, are those for only people in Ann Arbor?
You just have to be a member of the 2030 district. Yep.
Okay, and can you do it retroactive? We had one done late last year.
Can you, we can't actively. You mean you had one and?
We've already done one and paid for it.
Oh, okay. No, it'd be, yeah,
Okay.
you'd have to be an active member. Yeah,
Just check it.
that's fine.
All right. That's Ed. He's always negotiating. All right.
Just
But if you wanted, you can use, if you already have an energy audit, and if you want to use it to help go the next step and you need someone to look at your HVAC systems, we can apply it to doing that kind of HVAC tune-up if you wanted to do that.
Thank you.
All right. And then just a couple announcements. We'll have our next meeting in 2 months, about the middle of May. Also, about the middle of May, I will be giving an Ollie presentation on solar for your home. So look on the